Hey guys, it's Carrie, and today I'm doing part three of the book review, Goddesses and Everywoman by Dr. Jean Shinoda Bolen. So today I want to talk about the Virgin Goddesses, all right? And I know a lot of times when we hear the word virgin, it's usually related to whether someone's had sex or not. And the virgin aspect, the virgin goddess aspect, is a part of a woman that is unowned by or unpenetrated by a man, that is untouched by her need for a man or need to be validated by him, that exists wholly separate from him in her own right. So when a woman is living out a virgin archetype, it means that a significant part of her is psychologically virginal, not that she is physically and literally virginal. All right? Because when we think about the word virgin, as I said, a lot of times people tend to focus on the sexual aspect of it. But when we even think in astrology about Virgos, right, it's usually referred to as Virgo the Virgin. And it doesn't mean that a Virgo woman is a woman or a Virgo man is a man that haven't had sex before. But they're speaking of the aspects of the Virgo archetype or the Virgo zodiac sign that would embody personality traits like independence, self-sufficiency, self-validation, really a person who is one within themselves. They do what they need to do for humanity, for their community, for their families, for the people around them. And so you'll see them show up even as the vulnerable goddesses. So you'll see them show up as a Hera, as a Demeter, as a Persephone, but some way, if they have this virginal aspect of them still, owning that independence aspect of their personality or the independent aspect of their nature. Okay, so they might not be the mother who needs to be with their children 100% of the time, right? They might be that motherly archetype who is fostering independence and interdependence in their children. Okay, so the three virgin goddesses, they're Artemis, Athena, and Hestia. And so from the book here, Goddesses in Every Woman, I just want to go over some of what the author have put here. So the three virgin goddesses of Greek mythology are Artemis, goddess of the hunt and of the moon, Athena, goddess of wisdom and crafts, and Hestia, goddess of the hearth and temple. These three goddesses personify the independent, active, non-relationship aspects of women's psychology. Artemis and Athena are outward and achievement-oriented archetypes, whereas Hestia is inwardly focused. All three represent inner drives in women to develop talents, pursue interest, solve problems, compete with others, express themselves articulately in words or through art forms, put their surroundings in order, or lead contemplated lives. Every woman who has ever wanted a room for her own, or feels at home in nature, or delights in figuring out how something works, or appreciates solitude, has a kinship with one of these virgin goddesses. All right, so Artemis is definitely an independent spirit, and the qualities of Artemis, though, is that she does have a competitive nature, but she's also a girl's girl, right? You're gonna see Artemis show up in women who appreciate the sisterhood. I'm gonna go over here to the glossary section for a little bit, or the appendix, I should say, and give you their definition of Artemis. So Artemis, who the Romans called Diana, was goddess of the hunt and moon. She was one of the three virgin goddesses, the daughter of Zeus and Leto, and twin sister of Apollo, god of the sun. All right, so Artemis, you're gonna see her show up as wanting to live her own life, also having romantic relationships, but she's probably the kind of archetype who is okay with not having to be married, um, who's okay with maybe having not, there's an Aphrodite part of her where she's open to having different lovers, but at the same time, she's more of your outdoorsy type of girl, right? Your free spirit type of girl as well, right? You will see Artemis as the, the person who, I don't know, maybe people might consider her as a hippie type of person, but you're going to see Artemis show up. She might be athletic also, so into sports as well. And the sisterhood, right? Like, even probably the type of archetype that would stay true to her girlfriends, her good friends, over, be more loyal to her friends, maybe even over a romantic partner. Okay. All right. So Athena, should put a bookmark here. So Athena is known as Minerva to the Romans. She was the goddess of wisdom and handicrafts, patron of her namesake city Athens, and protector of numerous heroes, usually portrayed wearing armor and known as the best strategist in battle. She acknowledged only one parent, Zeus, but was considered also the daughter of wise Metis, the first consort of Zeus, a virgin goddess. All right, so Athena, and I don't want to put Athenas in a box, right? Because, there's plenty of Athena type persons who, well, let me back up, because I think that there's sometimes people who've named their daughters Athena for different reasons, right? Not necessarily so much because, their daughter embodies an Athena archetype, right? So you're going to come across women with the name Athena, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're Athenas, right? That they're embodying the archetype Athena. Because traditionally, Athena is not really a girl's girl. She's a guy's girl, right? So you're going to see, and not in a romantic way, more in like friendships, buddy, in work alliances. So Athena is also competitive, as Artemis is. But you're going to find Athena's competitive nature in like battling, in wanting to, in wanting to side with men, powerful men, right? Or wanting to get the validation of powerful men. You might also find her competitive nature in how she excels in like careers that are typically or traditionally dominated by men. Okay. So you might think about women who were Secretary of States, right? So maybe even a Condoleezza Rice or a Hillary Clinton, right? You might see Athena in Athena archetypes in those women. All right. So here it says that Athena is the goddess of wisdom and crafts, right? So also think about like your girlfriends or your friends, your women friends who are very much into their studies, into academics, wanting to go and pursue the highest level of education there. And then you want to think about your women friends who are very creative, right? And so even though creativity can be also seen in Artemis, right, in that free-spirited nature, but Athena's craft is really about perfecting it, right? Like wanting to bring out the best of herself through the craft, and doing it maybe to show that she can, maybe to prove that she can do something and do it well, right? Whereas Artemis, yes, she's gonna, she's going to do the craft, she's going to do the thing as well, but maybe doing it more from a place of pleasure, right? And so a little bit of how Aphrodite might show up in Artemis in that way. Okay. And then we have Hestia here. Okay. So let's look at Hestia. Okay. So Hestia, also known as Roman goddess Vesta, the virgin goddess of the hearth and least known of the Olympians. Her fire made home in temple sacred personifies the archetype of the self. So if you ask me, honestly, I feel like Hestia is the real embodiment of the virgin archetype. And, it says, whereas Athena and Artemis are more outward and achievement oriented, Hestia is inwardly focused. Okay. So she is your wise woman. Okay. Like your meditative, quiet, powerful woman. Okay. And you'll see Hestia is also Mary. And sometimes you'll see her hero aspect where she will be very tolerable of her partner's wants and desires, and in some ways might be perceived as passive, but it's not so much that she is passive and appeasing him, his every want and desire, but it's because she has that own personal comfort within herself, within her solitude, where she's able to let other people be without it having to change who she is. Okay, so she is the wise woman. She is the homebody woman who you walk into a home of Hestia and you're gonna feel at home, right? You're gonna feel comfortable. You're gonna feel welcomed. But she's also probably the woman who's gonna tell you, I'm going in for the night now, right? Or she's probably the one who would be at a public event and who already knows, okay, it's time for me to leave, right? She's probably not the woman who might stay at the event for the whole entire time. Okay. So she, in a lot of ways, to me, also embodies the concept of Virgo, the virgin, because she will do for humanity, right? She will show up in her acts of service, whether it's for her community, her family, but she also knows how to use her boundaries, right? Also knows when it's time to withdraw and recharge. All right, so these are the Virgin Goddesses. I really, really enjoyed this book, Goddesses in Everywoman. I think that it shows aspects of personalities, of complexities in personalities, and that as women, we are not one-dimensional, right? We are multi-dimensional beings. And, for some women, we do have these goddesses and more that live in us, right? Whether we want to call them goddesses, archetypes, personality, characteristics. We do have all of these in us, and the complexity sometimes there can be fear, right? There can be some fear looking at the fullness of ourselves and being able to accept what we see, but also learning how to appreciate or multidimensionality, right? Because it's these different aspects of a woman, right? It helps to sum up the totality, right, of who you are. And a lot of times we're going to find the Athenas, we're going to find the Artemis and the Hestias in ourselves, or we're going to find a wife in ourselves, right, and a mother, right, a Hera, a Demeter. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that you're Demeter. It doesn't necessarily mean that your Demeter or my Demeter that we're going to be the same. And I think that's the fun and the brilliance in our humanity and in what brings diversity, right, to the world. All right, so if you, I'm definitely encouraging women to read this book because there are so many different little nuggets and wisdoms that are here that you can use to integrate in how you see and understand your own self and maybe how you see and understand the women in your lives. All right, thank you.